All right, I'm gonna call this meeting of the Waterville Valley Board of Selectmen, our regular meeting Wednesday, May 12th, to order at 3:02 p.m. Privilege of the floor. Okay, financial reports.
This actually is the financial report and item 6A with the town meeting results. So the first 2 pages looks like it's your regular budget summary, but these are the updated numbers with the amendment. Just so you have a copy of that. That's the way the budget lays out. And year-to-date revenues and expenditures, we have not had a check run since your last meeting, so the expenditure side didn't change. But we did update the proposed budget column to reflect the amendment as well. So the overall percentage through the budget and the departmental percentages reflect the new amendment. And then I have an MS 232, which is a report of the town meeting votes. So it's for your signature if you want to do that.
All of us.
Yeah. You want to. And I informed Joe Ducharme is here. He was here to because of the work going on at the treatment plant and asked him if he could stay so he can provide you with an update on. And then I'd like to have a conversation with him about the project and timeline, things like that.
Yeah, so we might as well
So
get
if you
into
wanna
that.
go
Next
right
is
into that
department
next.
head report with Dylan and Joe.
So Apex started, Apex and Vortex started to work today. Everything's been going well. We're slight hang up on the camera working, just because they don't have the right size camera currently. So they're in group with the correct camera. Yeah, they don't reform you guy halfway and then come back down with it. The valves have been replaced, pumps in place, so it's the camera the line. The efficiency and where it is, and if they're able to identify that, that's what we're hoping for. If not, that'll be a different discussion. But all in all, it's gone pretty seamlessly. I haven't but all in all, we haven't had really any issues. Just was like looking at issues that come with that. But go ahead. And I figured we would have had some of this with the and a lot of it happened on every side.
So if we can't camera it, we have to dig it up and look at it.
Well, that was going to be something that me and Joe probably talk about and see what next. Just because of the nature of where it's at, you know, it's in an area where it's sloped down, you know, to begin with. That doesn't help us with identifying where it could be coming from, you know, it's flat ground, you know. At least it might have some percolation up to the ground. And right now, we don't have any. So, assuming we're not able to camera it, we may have to do that, or, you know, move on to something that may allow us to listen better to any water from the escape of the pipe. The trouble is that the age of the pipe, material of the pipe is prone to having leaks. So, yeah, that's probably gonna have to do that.
Yeah, I would agree, Dylan. I think that probably the next step, if this camera isn't able to get to the pipe configuration out of the pump room has a lot of bands in it. So the traditional cameras that they would put in a more straight line don't work. So I think it's a push camera, which can get around some bends. If they can't inspect at least to the elbow that's outside the building, the next step might be to actually dig there and then camera that.
could probably do it through something like that. In case we can't actually camera on that side, you cut the line, put the server valve in, camera that whole segment along. Just as a, insurance policy, because it's not worth taking the risk on something that close to the front. Seaside would fail or anything like that.
Are you guys gonna have extra pipe on hand if you get to the point of digging and you find a piece of pipe that might not have failed yet while you're there? Wouldn't it make sense to have new pipe and put it in consent?
So the only issue with that pipe is the material of the pipe is that it's concrete.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, but is there another kind of pipe that you could? Meaning that while it's open, can we make some repairs that we see that might be necessary to prevent a future failure?
Yeah, I think we have to, yes. I guess the short answer is yes, there would have to be some repairs done. What to have on site when they dig, I guess, is something if it's a Johnson, whoever, or a local, yeah, or BA, we have to let them know the size of the pipe. There are transition couplings, like the AC pipe is difficult from the standpoint of the need to get more brittle.
Yeah, that's the concern I have, that as you play with it, you're playing with something brittle,
Right,
and it might
Just like, oh,
That's where
Exactly.
we don't even want to really dig it up.
right.
No,
Because
but
we're afraid
That's-
we're gonna
yeah, that's
damage
why
it
we're
just
getting
getting.
inspected
right,
now.
but I'm thinking by accident.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just the fact that we've moved something
Yeah,
around that.
exactly.
what we might have to do, most definitely, what we're gonna have to do is bypass pump again. And that will keep that, just so that we can still operate the facility. Worst case scenario, was put temporary line in place until we take care
How
of
long can we bypass?
it. As long as we need to.
As long as-
So that, what I'm saying, so we have a plan B if we break the pipe, we can go around it. So what I'm saying is not that necessary.
Right.
No, but
to fix the pipe, but it's,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is definitely necessary.
If we were to dig it up with the intent of breaking into it to inspect in two directions, then we would have to have something to repair it
Right.
up on site. And there's transition fittings and other things. I think the bigger challenge with the old transite pipe is digging it up back and being able to get a clean cut, a sound piece of pipe. And the folks at Vortex have the capability to line pipe from inside and other things, but we have to just see what the condition is, and where they're.
Do you have a temporary pump and pipe in place right now?
Right.
Right, that's the thing that's running up.
Yeah.
the hill,
Right, that's what we need to do. If we run into that scenario again, we have to take it up, cut into that pipe, we would just set it up the same exact way, bypass it, until it fixes the problem.
And now that we're into the summer, we can do that indefinitely.
Well, that's the concern I have, that we,
Yeah.
if we go into the winter, we have temporary pipe.
Well, no, yeah, we'll definitely have it fixed by when
Right,
we
right.
have to.
Because
Because worst case, you can't. It's not ideal, obviously.
concern is freeze out, just that.
Actually, you were saying they did it in Rochester. As far as the project, Joe, you want to kind of give an update on where we are for the big project?
Yeah, sure. So, in talking to Mark earlier today, there's kind of three elements we need to move forward with all concurrently right now. One is getting funding applications in for the different programs that might offer grant opportunities for the town. There's an Economic Development Administration. There's the CARES Act, which came out. We got wind of 4 to 5 weeks ago that there was going to be some funding coming back from county. Mark has been working with Gene's office to pursue that, and got a notice last week that they want the next step of the application work done, which is more detailed, which is promising. Our company has a few other clients who have been asked to do the next step, and some who haven't. So we feel like this is a good opportunity to take advantage of that grant funding. And then also the state revolving loan fund, which is a state-run fund since the 80s, when the original Clean Water Act grants ran out. They started a loan program, and it would be good to get the pre-application to do June 1st. We could get the pre-application in for the full project to get on the priority list. So as the project advances, it just town in a position to get more into small money to advance the project beyond the authorization that we just recently got. If you use that. It also provides for interim funding during construction at a rate of 1%. And it would allow the town to borrow at 1%. You only pay interest on what you borrow month to month, that cumulative total. And then you can convert to any other type of loan or pay out arrangement in construction. It also puts the town on the list, the priority list for if there are some stimulus funds through Washington DC to get put into infrastructure. Those funds in the past have run through the state program. And what the state has done is they've increased the number of projects they fund, the value, and they also provide loan forgiveness. They can't call it a grant because it's a loan program. But what they do is they, at the end of the construction progress project, they basically, whatever percentage they allow for loan forgiveness, you just deduct that from your total. Historically, they have 20%, 30% loan forgiveness available to communities. The last round of stimulus in 2008 and 9, every project was 50%. Which would be town project.
And is eligibility at all based on median income?
No. It's based on project. That does factor, I shouldn't say no, it's not the only criteria. It is the household income and user rates are part of the long list of criteria they use. One of the major factors is if you have a new permit that's more stringent, you upgrade to the new permit, that's 40%. Water quality, affecting water quality, is another percentage. So this type of project where the town's about to get a new permit and you have to do a brand new treatment plant is going to rank very high right out of the gate. The other factors that you mentioned will push some communities higher in the ranking. There is a stimulus package that allows the state to fund more projects that would certainly put the town in a good position.
And the last time, the ARRA money that Joe was talking about in 2008, they took all those factors out and just said, everybody gets X percentage forgiven. So it wasn't based even on, if you were on the list, you were eligible.
Right, and there's no telling how they'll do it
Yeah, who knows
now, but I have a feeling just based on the discussions I've had with folks at DES and the meetings they've been holding about funding that, they would want to offer more loan forgiveness to everybody just because they would get the stimulus money. They want to get more projects done. And they will take a look at, despite the median household income and the user rates here, they also look at what the user base is. There are big communities that use tens of thousands of dollars of loan money that they have. So that does factor in. Allocation. So the funding is one piece we need to get started on right away. Mark and I were talking about that. The CARES Act application is going next Friday. The SRF loan application.
Yeah.
31st, and then EDA will follow that. And EDA is one that I encourage the town to apply for because there are some plans in the community to do some work in the village area and potential future expansion in the ski area. EDA is all grant, and they will provide grant for extending sewers, for upgrading wastewater plants, drinking water, and it all gets tied to whatever the long-range economic development plan. So Mark and I have had a couple of conversations with James about getting Mark some information so we can put that in an application.
And it also applies to job retention, not just job creation and future growth.
Right.
So we will get credit
Right.
for maintaining jobs, which obviously the plan allows us.
So there's three elements of funding there that we'd like to get started on right away so that we can maximize whatever
is this applicable to both our water and our wastewater treatment plant?
It can, yes, we're gonna be putting in some SRF applications for future water projects as well, because they're gonna get some stimulus funds. Want to get the town up to those too. The focus right now is on the wastewater plant, because that is the bigger issue with the permit requirements to upgrade the plant. But water projects as well.
And we're on our water project, we're getting ready to go out to bid.
No, we're still coming through the permitting process.
Yeah, our plans are 9% level. We're ready to have the SRF plans from a technical perspective. We're waiting for the electric permit.
And that's waiting, we need to have a discussion.
On the, getting back to the grants and the various percentages, does it matter what type of plant we ultimately choose as the one we want? Ground discharge,
No, it's a good question. It's
river discharge?
the agencies will look to see that thorough evaluation of alternatives has been done. There's a format that we follow for the report phase, which is within the state of New Hampshire rules for wastewater guidelines. We follow that format, and that format meets the requirements of all the different funding agencies. So why don't we turn over all the stones, look at all the options and alternatives, and offer what we believe is the best long-term alternative. They're not gonna say, oh, this, not that, right?
Or you'll get more if you discharge into the ground as opposed to
No, that's not,
into the river. That doesn't apply.
no, not typically. Each entity will have an engineering level to do a technical review.
So the second piece of this is to get the plan started. And so we will need to have Joe, he'll need to prep a proposal and contract for the preliminary engineering study, which will follow that outline that he just described from DES, so that we meet all of the criteria, so that whatever information Joe uses, we can, or comes up with, we can use in our grant applications.
Yeah, so there'll be a study phase, and that scope is the outline in the rules is called the basis of design report, and it's very prescriptive about everything that's in that space. Put that together.
And then the third piece,
The third element we talked about is just what's happening right now for the treatment, the existing treatment plant, and I would just refer to it as ongoing treatment plant operations like this. And that's any assistance that Dylan needs from us to put something on pumps or power. There's about a half a dozen projects over there that are not a single one of them is insurmountable anyway, but we have to approach them in a way that keeps the old plant running. We don't want to put a lot of town, we don't want to put a lot of money into the old plant. It's going to be some cost. We have to keep it running until the new plant is running. At the same time, if there are things we can do that keep the old plant running, but that can equipment or things can be used in the new plant, we want to look at those options. So kind of an engineering support for the ongoing plant operations, I think is a third element. Dylan and I can talk about, which I think there's probably 4 or 5 that I can think of on the top of my head that he already brought up that are going to be critical to keep things going. We can put together a summary scope. My suggestion to Mark is we just put a dollar amount and not to exceed kind of on call for Dylan to help with these things. Happens, problem or other thing happens that requires more time to sit down and discuss it a little more. I think we have a pretty good handle on what is in front of us right now to keep the plan going.
And it's realistic by May 26th to have those 3 scopes.
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to review at the next.
Yeah, so.
There are other department heads stated. Happened. All quiet.
Nothing since yesterday, no.
But you don't have the new speed sign yet?
No, I'm actually looking, we have several quotes, we're still running, there is a possibility for some grant money there, so. The problem is they haven't been in the office because of COVID, so.
This year?
Maybe actually get a real
Sometime
person.
this year.
Sometime this year, hopefully get a real person for highway safety, and, we have 3 quotes, I'll probably need to get some, refresh quotes, but. I first wanted to see if there was still some money available for that project before we move forward on that.
Now, we decided to completely get rid of the current one, right? And rather than
Yeah, we're gonna replace that
we
one.
replace that one completely and get
We're
a
gonna replace
mobile,
that one
and they get a mobile.
And then go with a mobile option. And, I have some options, but I'm right, I'll share that with our recommendations with prices and all. We are taking some action on one unit, Bill Beagle as the health officer, in the fire department to ordering in unsanitary and unsafe living conditions. Letters went out to the owners, we spoke to the owners today. They have till May 31st to take some action. If they do not, we're going to be closing the unit. So it's clean.
It's condo unit.
It is, it's a unit, it's a Gold Eagle. And because it is in a Gold Eagle, there's of course some more safety concerns there, not only just a single family unit that it's could potentially affect many of the other units that are there too. So letters going out today with the notifications that we've given them since January 19th to correct this problem, and we've given them several extensions. And we're done. And so now the last thing that we're going to do is we're scheduling an inspection on June 1st. And if it's not done, then anybody who's living there is not going to be living there until it gets clean. There is an option for the municipality to take action where we clean it, and then the owner is liable for those expenses. But I figured let you guys know that that's in motion. Hopefully it doesn't have to come to that. Hopefully we can get some compliance. Hopefully, it takes care of it. Other than that,
Yeah, and I get the sense that compliance is an issue.
compliance is very much an issue. And until I really did my homework, it's not something that we do every day. And certainly within our authority to do so, but it is a misdemeanor if you disregard the health officer's notices to take action. We may go so far as if we're still not going to get action, that there's some criminal liability there.
And how did we first hear about this?
We discovered it. We were called there for medical call and discovered the conditions. And we're pretty involved with the conditions. So since that point, we gave them a timetable to get it fixed. The problem is the owner does not live there. There is a relative tenant that's living in the unit. So our certified letters went unanswered for both parties for some time until we scheduled an in-person, managed to catch that person. And gave them some fair warning that, and we gave them an extra 30 days to make some significant progress on cleaning.
is the lodge not a player in this at all?
I don't know. They've got copies of our letters. I was hoping that they would step up a little bit and be an extra persuasion to get that done.
There must be something in the bylaws.
Well, that's what I'm thinking,
I'm
the
most certainly
liability.
sure there probably is.
I haven't heard this the first I've heard
Yeah.
it, so I
Yeah.
have no idea.
The homeowners of the lodge itself would have
We've had
liability.
a pretty good dialogue with what's going on in the lodge.
Yeah. So, they were notified. I haven't heard anything from the board of directors, or the general manager, other than thanks for telling us. Kind of thing, and I was hoping that we get, some additional pressure there. I used to do bylaws, but, we're gonna move forward. It's been plenty of time.
Makes you guys, makes the town the bad guys. Potentially. Yeah, well. Not. Yeah, my comments.
Yeah, I left it, enough open-ended that would give them enough opportunity to take care of this. And there still is, even if we have to close the unit, we're not compelled to clean it ourselves. But certainly we can.
Well, it'll just stay closed until.
It'll stay closed until it's up.
This is not an incipient or, a fire hazard, no matter what's happening. You can close it and the issue.
Well, it is, but, that's part of the issue. It is so much, there's such a fire load and because of the hoarding situation. It is a fire hazard. It's more a health and safety hazard if something were to happen there. We would have a very hard time trying to mitigate that if we had to rescue somebody or if there was cardiac arrest there. It'd be very difficult.
Well, as soon as you lock it up, the neighbors will start complaining.
Yeah.
They're gonna
Yeah,
want to know
well,
what's
it
going
gets
on. Yeah,
Compliant somehow.
Yeah. Yeah.
One way or another. We are doing, testing, initial PT testing, fit testing for part-timers, part-time public safety officers. Next week, next Tuesday, we got a handful of applicants. Through other sorts of local sources that, looked at. We're gonna do our best to see if any of them work out.
We have our Wilderness First Aid course. This weekend. We're finalizing our schedule for the summer, so we're going to be reintroducing education, social, bingo.
Yay.
Yeah, we're doing that, kind of utilizing the gym space for bingo and having our social outside with the rain location. And so we're getting a little creative with our space. We're going to be doing movie night. And also a s'mores kind of campfire night on Packard. So that's coming along. We also have an adult program flyer with several offerings for bringing back pickleball, really more organized outdoor pickleball than we do quite yet. We are excited about bringing back some of these programs.
I think, are you gonna have access to the multi-purpose room during this?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, in fact, as you know, we added another camp group this summer, so we are utilizing one of the rooms in the school, like deep into the school. The school classroom. So they are, allowing us to do that, which is wonderful. But yes, we will have full use of the service room, that's two of our campus. So we actually asked them to do this.
if they're having their enrichment program.
They are, but, and we talked about that, they also have summer school running, so that'll happen in the upstairs room, which I thought we were gonna be able to recently talk to Gail, and she's gonna put us in the little room, but there's outdoor access door right there, so we can use out that. And we'll put our older group in there, so anyway, it's shaping up, and just a lot of planning organization is going on right now.
school ended on 4 weeks from today.
Yeah. The ninth or what's in the, we call it 11th.
11.
Yeah, 11th.
We will win this
year.
It's our year. to win.
Tyler and I.
Say that every year, don't you?
Yes, it is.
I have a question with regard to camps. Brooke. There's been a lot of, and people listening might want to hear this. There's been some discussion, I should say, better said, in the media about recent CDC guidelines concerning camps, camping, children's camps, and the extensive nature of those guidelines. Has that impacted at all on those guidelines?
I think
on
what
your,
you're referring
planning?
to is mostly residential setting. Yeah.
These are overnight camps?
I think they're referring mostly to that setting when they're talking,
Okay.
as it's been in the news lately, not in terms of.
Good.
day camps.
So it hasn't, it's.
Yeah, so the
Okay.
day camp requirements are pretty much unchanged. Well, with changes in numbers and things
Yeah,
like
there
that.
are some changes, and honestly, we just, Sandra and I just discussed it today. It's just a moving target again, not
Yeah.
as bad as it was last year, but we're still going to be
Yeah.
updating and maybe providing an addendum to what our policies will be once we get to the start date. But for example, last year, we needed to do a 14-day quarantine prior to, from any New England state, anywhere, prior to going to camp. We have that, basically not necessary within the New England states. That's just one example of how we've been able to loosen up what we had last summer. But there's going to be more of that, and like I said, it's going to keep evolving, and hopefully some of it is relaxed. I'm not in any worry to be, reckless or anything like that. We will be conservative, but we are watching that as it unfolds.
And we're gonna talk about the playground project, since that's on our agenda.
Yeah.
as well.
The last pages of your packet.
So I've received two proposals. I've been talking to both of these companies for a while now, trying to kind of come up with an idea of what I think would work well in the space. They both come out to look at the space. One of the proposals is from the company that put in our existing playground. And I think that was around 2005. And then there's another company that's seems to give us kind of the same thing at a, they're slightly different, but more or less the same offerings. And I did take into consideration, the accessibility, ADA design accessibility. So that's in both designs.
I forget off the top of my head. How much was it? 68,000?
68.
But that included
68,000.
Yeah.
That included
What that includes,
Packard too, right?
well, in the warrant article, yeah, it was to include looking at the drainage.
Right.
In terms of the playground, what it includes in both those proposals is installation, delivery and installation. So on our end, our responsibility is to get it ready by removing the existing equipment. And we have a nice sand base right now, which will be covered with new safety servicing, but there's not a lot more we need to do other than remove the existing equipment.
We're
We've
gonna do
secured somebody who's interested in using it, which is what.
Great.
Um,
They come and get it, or we have to,
Yeah.
Well, they're gonna come and get
Yeah,
it. We may help them remove it. but-
Yeah.
some
But
of
they're
these,
gonna
some of the
take
guys
it.
help. them
I think we
take it
need to
away.
help them remove it, but yeah, they're gonna take it, which is.
Just being
Sure is.
able to do that without a cost.
Yeah. So,
So basically, we have a $67,000 and
Yeah.
a 63,174.
Yeah.
option.
and regardless of price, I've been meeting, the whole time with the 63 one. based on-
The 63,174.
That's the utility play parks and playgrounds.
Yeah, they've, right now, that's sort of my first choice. I do want to talk to them a bit more about just making sure that we're gonna have the ability to add other components as the years go on, if we want to. I have been talking to some of the, parents and that they would love to have some sort of exercises, but it's probably similar to what you had on Village Trail at one point.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, so anyway, I think it'd be nice to make sure that there's some space left to add things downline for some sort of sheets.
I'm looking at this proposal. Like, well, it's not talking in depth as the recreation group proposal is, as far as what they're expecting,
Right.
as far as site prep, accessibility and things to be there for them to do their work.
Okay.
The question that I have is, if our site requires a major amount of work, do we have the ability for our town people to do it?
We, for that small of an area,
Jim,
yes.
Jim has assured me that, yes. we can do that. And I will request that more detailed
Yeah.
information from the other place.
Because I got nothing in the proposal where he talks about it. But these other people are very specific.
Right, it's the lab page, which I'm not sure if you got.
I,
You see that, I mean, you're right, it does not read this
I've only had a
clearly.
chance to read it. last
Yeah.
few minutes.
It doesn't read it clearly, and I can certainly reflect that.
And the only reason that I'd ask for your okay to go forward with these not to exceed numbers. We can come back if the quote changes in any way or because of prep work or whatever. Is only because we want to get it on order so that we can get it installed as early in the summer as possible.
And then part of the conversation is between the two, how fast can you act?
Yeah, exactly.
But another question for you.
Sure.
With my 10 minutes up.
No, that's.
Cannabis while doing two other things.
Yeah.
New England Recreation Group, what is their surface going to be?
Both of them would be the engineered wood fiber.
So is that a permanent, like a wood carpet, like a synthetic, or is that just a fill?
It's a fill. And that and the rubber seem to be the best we can handle.
The question I have with the fill and with the rubber is the drainage issue.
Mm-hmm.
Is if you get a significant rain event,
Mhm.
will this stuff wash out and wind up over by the chap?
I think it will be on top of the stand, and it will drain just the way it always has.
Yeah, I just don't know anything about this. I'm just
Yeah,
wondering,
Is
Is it a mat?
We're gonna, no, it's
is it in a
it's
frame?
chips. It's in, but it is in
is
a
it,
frame.
is it
so
so like
that-
a,
that's
like a
right.
giant sandbox? with
Exactly.
something?
Right.
Yes.
We're going to be using our existing frame. Yeah, we have an existing frame that has sand in it. So we'll be utilizing that. They did have a requirement of price, we'll have to look at if we need to extend that frame up higher.
Right.
So that's part of.
But we will.
Yeah, I'm just
enclose this
concerned
so
if
that
it
it
does
doesn't.
we pay for all the
No,
surfacing.
No, that's
And the
fine.
way it slopes there,
Yeah.
and the rain comes through and all
Yeah.
our stuff is done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
normal
we'll-
rain.
Let that happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Um,
We only get drought.
Yeah.
Brooke, what about some of the concerns that were raised last night about the ability of this equipment to be used by people with disabilities, children with disabilities?
Right, and I appreciate those comments. The playgrounds that we have chosen are ADA accessible. So everything is accessible for them, but we are adding an actual ADA swing. Okay, so I don't know if you saw that in the picture. That's
It looks like a bucket.
Yeah, that's the component that we're adding that we don't currently have. But it does meet the standards for ADA accessible. Now, not depending on the person's abilities, within their disability, you're gonna be able to access different things based on what the nature of your disability is. But everything is accessible by these ADA standards.
Well, and maybe even a better word is ADA compliant. So we're gonna meet the requirements of the law, plus we're putting in the
One additional
accessible
feature that's
piece,
specific.
right?
Yeah,
So whatever the federal government requirement is, this equipment meets it. Now, that does not mean every child,
Right.
like Brooke said, will be able to access
And
every
another
part of it.
but I don't think.
But I don't think you can ever get to that.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure.
Right,
what
but
the
so it's
individual that
an
was
ADA
raising the
compliant.
issue last night, what exactly she was looking
I
at.
think she wanted a complete ADA.
Yeah, 100%.
Accessible.
As I understood. it.
Yeah, and I
Where
know-
all the
That
features
wouldn't
were
make
specifically
sense
designed.
for everybody else as the
Right.
next person kind of done. So.
Right.
I do appreciate that thought, and I think everyone, all these companies have
stairs or steps or however you access it meets the requirements so that kids can have the best experience they can.
There's a lot of things we can choose from. These particular proposals are 5 to 12-year-old range. So if we wanted to add more smaller components that are for, say, the, 1 to 3-year-olds or 5-year-olds, then we can do that. But right now, this would be adding something like like that we already have, which people have, find it.
Am I correct in assuming that either vendor, they will not be required for maintenance after the installation? That we strictly are.
We'll get a warranty.
Yeah, there'll be a
of a
warranty,
year.
but it will be, and we have our own playground maintenance that we keep up with. I mean, we've been sort of maintaining the existing ones the best we can for the last 5 years.
But there's nothing special about this that requires it to
No,
come
I
in
think
every
that
X amount of
these
months
would
or
become
something.
easier. Now the materials that are, getting the pressure treated wood, it's easier now.
So once it's installed, we can maintain it, part of our normal
Right,
DPW operations and rec department.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, do you need a motion? for this
Well,
one, or-
yes, if you're, any other questions, Mike, yes, if you could, and if we could couch that motion in terms of a not to exceed number, we'll work within that and come back to you if we need to
Well,
change.
we approved what last night, 68.
68, yep.
And did you want me to discuss this,
Well, the remainder of the money, whatever that is, our goal would be to start the engineering study. We're not going to be able to make repairs really on the
4,000 and change
with
left, we
four-
go with the
yeah,
lower,
with-
lower.
Well, there might be a culvert that we could throw in or something.
There may be, but
I would
we're,
say keep it in the reserve fund for drainage issues as we approved in town meeting.
okay.
I mean, that would be great.
And I do want to do more work, right, as far as investigation to come back potentially in a year or two with some actual rebuilds if we
A
need.
full-blown engineering
A
study
full-blown.
of packages.
Yeah. So,
All right,
And
so
then what else? Okay.
I'm going to move that we authorize the rec department to pursue purchase of playground equipment. And so, any work that needs to be done to assess drainage on Packard Field, the amount of money to be spent not to exceed $68,000.
I will second that motion.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Right, go forth and make a playground.
Move ahead.
Let me know when I can come over and play on.
And with Kara on it.
You know what?
I'm not gonna
I
go-
love the slide.
I do have another question about color. I don't know if that's something I need to talk to people about.
Depends the context these days.
I mean, it's like right now we have a very sort of neutral, like green and brown tone. And I was kind of looking forward to going with kind of that tone that was presented last night, which is a little
or
brighter.
brighter. Yeah.
And I like that, but I just want to be sensitive to what people in the valley want, and they want it to be blended in with the golden eagle the way it is now.
Or do you mind
Or
a
if it's so
splash of
pretty,
color
so
there?
colorful.
Well, I personally don't mind if it gets colorful, but I have no idea what other people are going to say. And when it's in, it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
sorry.
That's the color.
yeah, I mean, I think that's what my feeling about it, and that since no one has
Right.
expressed anything else, so.
I think the parents with 5 to 12-year-olds would appreciate color.
Is there,
Just about
on the,
everything. They're
not to
they're the
make-
customers.
a lot of extra work, but on your website, is there a way to survey while you're going through the
Ordering process.
ordering process, just to get see what the sentiment might
Give them
be?
a week or two of
That's
comments.
not hard. Okay,
Keep it within the color out.
yeah, I'll give,
Okay,
yeah. I'll try to get maybe bigger houses.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you think, I mean, I'm fine with more colorful. I like the idea of it standing out, and so it's clearly not the golden eagle, it's
Right.
the town.
Yeah.
I mean, the sign and
I think we are down to calendar review.
Yep.
So the
Can I
planning board-
just, Joe, I think we're all set with
Yeah.
you. I
I was
guess
gonna ask
you and Dylan, no, you and Dylan can do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I had a chance to catch up.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
So there's a planning board meeting tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
Sure is.
I saw some
There-
stuff in
there
here that
is.
had
We-
lawyers'
Well, we
names
need
on it.
to, yeah, we need to
Yeah.
talk about it.
Okay.
So you can have this page made so you can get it when we come to discussion.
There's a back page to that I missed. Sharon.
I've got a copy of mine.
You might be missing the tape.
No, I think I
Oh,
have.
you
it.
have-
He got it from Nick,
Okay, well,
as
let's
a
just find it.
planner, so,
I'll make both sides.
yeah.
Okay.
But that's for later on.
Yes.
Okay. And our next regular meeting is the 26th.
Yep.
At 3:00.
Yeah.
And just FYI, I'm gonna be out of town most of the.
Can you do that by Zoom or not? Is that not work for your schedule? Okay, just ask.
I mean, the work I do down there, no, I have to
No, I
do
got
it
it.
on site. Gotta get the blood stain. People believe what they believe.
And I'm.
Yeah, I know.
know.
They should have attended your session,
Yeah, see,
the Ray Center, which was really interesting.
thank you.
Town meeting results. First of all, I just want to go on the record. I've had so many people come up to me today and say, it was a good meeting, it was well organized. And my response to all of that is, Mark is very good at getting us prepared and making it happen. So, I do want to thank you publicly, Mark, for all the work that you and the staff did on that, because, things turned out very well.
Yeah.
I think I
Sorry
told
about
you.
those edits. I missed that completely.
Of all the pages and all
Yeah,
the words,
all the
a
words.
few.
And then the, high-end AV crew is really working.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
That
I
was-
did want to mention that I did talk to Brian, and I'm gonna have him come in here.
Yes.
If we're gonna have to do,
I make copies for you.
if we're gonna have blended meetings, as it looks like we are going to be able to, I'd like to have him come in here and give us some ideas about how best to communicate with the online folks. And I think last night he just showed that he's got a lot of
I think that's a
capability.
great idea. I've been thinking that one of the outcomes, results of COVID, is gonna be sort of blended. It makes it a lot easier for our vendors and whatnot to come talk to us, not having to
I'm
actually
on
travel
page 4 of that.
all the way up here. Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
I think what I'll do, Margaret, is, we'll see
See if we
what,
can tweak back and see.
yeah,
Yeah, well, I'm just looking
we'll
at
get you
page
a,
numbers. I've
we'll
got
get you a complete,
1, 3, 5, and
I bet you we can get the back
2.
side of this.
Yeah, no, I've got, I think they have it all in sequence in my mind. Like what,
We'll work.
Good enough.
Right.
All right,
Thank you.
onward. So, what else do we need to review about town meeting?
Nothing, the finances are all set.
By the
I've
way, on
actually
the town
got-
meeting, I had good
Yeah.
comments, especially about the temperature.
Yeah,
People actually didn't like the temperature, but it moved things along.
It did.
yeah,
Something to consider for the future.
exactly, exactly. So I have the copy of the ordinance. It is a separate line or item on the agenda, but this is, I'd like you to sign this as the official copy of what was adopted, just
The
for the
noise
file,
ordinance.
the noise ordinance. So I have this for you. And Dave did make that editorial correction with the
3
paragraph reference, so you have a copy of the updated numbers. So,
Updated Noise
you,
ordinance.
yeah,
It's from 1988.
it
that
was, that was the last time. So
There's
that's
some
for your
older
signature.
ones.
Mike.
And there's some older ones, too.
Yeah, there are. Yep. And then, yep, go ahead.
Mass resolution.
Yeah, so you, we we have the updated mask resolution, which is incorporated in comments that you had via email. So I would just would like to highlight for the public that this will be a continuing resolution regarding the wearing of face coverings. How much detail, we will post this on the town website and everything. How would you like us to distribute this or notify folks about where we are with this?
Could I just make a couple comments?
Yeah.
On it?
Yeah.
I would, in the second paragraph, which begins, and whereas, state of New Hampshire.
Yeah.
You may want to put the new, what is it, the best
Oh,
practices.
yes, you're absolutely right. It should be.
Changed significantly, and is now called best business practice,
Oh, yes.
whatever it was, universal.
Oh, okay. And is
Best-
now referred to as
as-
best practices.
I think that's it.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
And
And its recommendations from the CDC are changing rapidly,
Okay.
not change.
Yeah.
Or just say, change rapidly and often.
all right.
So we decided not to put anything in about people who are fully vaccinated.
I wondered about that too, about, we're silent on vaccination, yet we have, let me just finish. We have two paragraphs. I mean, to me, paragraph 3 and 4 are both confusing and superfluous, frankly. And we should just refer people to CDC, which may get to the vaccination issue, which discusses what they recommend for vaccinated and non-vaccinated.
I mean, there are so many different limitations and
That's why I don't want to even get,
reservations.
I just don't want to get
The
down.
only thing that I think is
Sure.
clean is the one that I mentioned in my comment back to you, is the one that said, if you're fully vaccinated, you don't need a mask outside as long as you're not at a big concert or sporting event or that kind of thing, at a large gathering. And that was pretty clean. When it gets to inside, things are a little different.
Oh,
Yeah.
But even the outside, some of the outside ones.
Yeah,
are vaccinated.
And
I
by the
didn't wanna
time
go
we
there.
do this, could be changed by the 6 o'clock meetings.
That's why I
It's
say
true.
we have a mass definition, we maybe pair one, a couple things, and refer people to CDC for details.
I don't know what to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because I liked what I saw today.
I can look at
I
it.
thought
Yeah.
it was simple, it's
Okay.
easy, it's by no means perfect, but I don't think we're gonna come up with anything perfect. I think it lets the public and the community know that we have concerns for the health and well-being of our community. And we're
Right.
hoping that people will use common sense and respect the community as they come and see.
See, that says it all right there. That's maybe,
Ask you to repeat it, I won't be able to.
but
You
perhaps,
can play it back.
perhaps some reference to the CDC public website. Do you think that would be helpful?
I just think it's gonna confuse more things. The more,
But that's gonna be the most up to date
Yeah.
thing. Some of these things in the back, some of the
But,
things
you
you
know,
say
there's
here.
even criticism that the CDC recommendations are not up to date.
Well, and
Not
they're
where they
not
should.
Well, there's a
consistent.
whole,
That's. the
there is
problem.
there is a
That's the
great
whole problem.
There's
issue.
an inconsistency.
Right.
and if the
Among-
governor comes up with something else, we have another level of it.
Right.
Right. I think we do the best we can with just alerting people that we're concerned, and we hope you're concerned. Please be courteous.
And-
Yeah, and I thought the White Mountain National Forest was worth mentioning. Because I specifically asked him about that, because
Yeah.
they're doing the cleanup this Saturday. And yeah, you're on White Mountain National Forest land right now. Federal law says you must wear a mask if you're within proximity of some other person in the White Mountain National Forest.
Even outside.
Even outside. And that helped them a lot during the ski season,
Sure,
because they could go up to people and say, it's not just our rule, it's federal law, you're a, Forest Service.
yeah, well, whatever we say, I mean, although we have no enforcement mechanisms,
Right.
is
Well-
DPS okay with this in terms of someone calls and says, well, I read here.
Yeah, because I think we've left it as recommendations now rather than.
Right, no,
expectations.
there's no enforcement.
And we're encouraging rather than expecting people.
Right, and that gets to more of the business, I
It
think,
is,
what
it's
you were
It
getting
does,
at,
it
it's the
does.
inside, it's up to the
And
business.
I
to
don't
post what
really
they
want to
post.
add more negative stuff to this that says
No,
that
no.
enforcement shall be if you
No, no.
refuse to comply with the business or property owners, you know.
We went through
yeah,
that
all that.
on our initial round. We talked about this.
Yeah.
So how are we going to handle here at town hall and other town
Well, that's the real
buildings
issue. for
and
me.
the post office? What is
Well, it's the
our,
United States Post Office rules still apply at our post office, correct?
yeah, we can,
I mean,
not really, but yes, we are, yes.
yeah, I just,
Yeah,
What are the people in town hall that they're covered by? That's the key.
The state is allowing state workers.
Right. But I think if the
I
people in
think,
town
I
hall.
think you get to set the rules for
Yeah.
town
Yeah.
hall, just like any other business owner
Yes.
would do.
okay,
And in general, the way we have been acting in town hall is maintaining social distance and taking our masks off when we're seated. I don't know. If you don't feel masks are needed at all, with what you know about your employees and that kind of thing, I think you can make that decision as well. But you're gonna have people coming in, and they need to know what they need to do.
Well, there'll be two types of people. There'll be people who are expecting service at the window, and then there'll be commercial vendors and whatnot coming in to deliver this or to repair that. And I imagine their companies are gonna have their own.
Yeah, so look at the athletic companies. It's very
Their
ambiguous.
own.
It's, they like you to wear a mask, but they don't have to wear it. You know,
Right. It's a, that's
well,
the
and that's
recommendation.
kind
now.
of the approach that
That's
I
why I
think
think,
we should take, is that we encourage you
and
to
that's
wear
what I thought
masks.
the resolution said. I thought it
Right.
Really,
And I don't have a problem taking our sign down as far as limiting people coming in and out, and we're just gonna say, you know,
I think people who would have a problem coming in won't come in.
right,
I think we've had an educational experience for the last 12 months as to what we expect and what we are willing to do. I would bet even if you took the 2-person limit down at the post office, you would see people waiting instead of going in.
yeah,
Just
I don't
because-
wanna do that.
No,
yet
I'm not
until we
saying we're gonna
know
do that.
The
I'm just
postal
saying that we
service-
have learned. in
Right.
our behavior.
Exactly.
And
And that
those
was,
of us who want to take care of ourselves and respect each
That's
other are gonna still
Yeah.
adhere to what we've been doing to it.
So Anne might not care if I'm in the post office, so she knows I'm fully vaccinated, but you can't
otherwise.
go by that,
That's
you know,
Right,
because you
exactly.
just don't know, and you don't want to know, quite frankly, yeah.
So we'll probably do something similar to that. We'll prepare some signage.
Yeah.
I'll go through it with staff.
Yes.
Same thing,
Here.
same thing with the signs, the COVID signs.
Yeah,
You know, as I said, I have no problem with those going
Yeah.
up, and if something changes in the New Hampshire or whatever kind of thing, you can either take the sign down, or you can modify it with a sticker, you know,
And
it's,
we're not expected to pay anything for these things.
no, they're
Yeah,
existing.
they're
signs.
existing signs.
They're using the
They're all
same-
in good nature. They promote
Yeah, yeah,
the
I'm
brand.
fine with all the, I'm
Yeah.
fine with the signs that,
Yeah,
these are the ones they're proposing,
Yeah.
that Tim would like to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To
no, I
reinstall.
think that's fine.
do you have any, you want to weigh in on this as far as from a public safety standpoint, or do you have any reservations about putting the signs back up? or-
I don't, I didn't see, is there a new proposal for?
No, they're the existing signs that they had up.
We had it last
Yeah.
summer.
I mean, do you see them causing a problem that's gonna,
I mean, we're
Come back to you
occasionally, I think with the resolution, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know, encouraging that, I know moving more towards personal responsibility.
I think the right part
Is
of
best, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
um, Versus, you know, the overall,
less likely to go on something like
But I
Town
think
Square, which is
I
private property, which is
think that
private
was-
And
property.
that's my reference.
But I think that's dissipating now. I think after this year, we've all are facing a new time where before there was so much fear and uncertainty.
Right. I think that's what, yeah.
But there'll be one, in every prep.
But still, it'll be up to the owners of Town Square to determine it's outside,
Right,
but it's
yeah,
private
individual
property,
business.
and it's up to them to decide whether they want people to wear masks while they're in Town Square or not, regardless of the number of people.
And we will
On the square.
continue to support all of our businesses in the event that they have an issue with somebody not following their rules and refusing to
Sure.
leave the property.
They have
And
the
that's what we talked about
authority from
before is trespass. And
the
people can be arrested for that.
best practice policies, the guidelines from the state give them that right.
Right.
So the masks, or the signs that are in there.
Right.
They were up before and
Right.
they're not really threatening. in any way.
I think they're lighthearted. I think they're
Yeah,
unifying and they give a gentle nudge at what we expect. And what we can do to make this place more enjoyable for everybody. I think the Mountain did a really good job.
Okay.
have a good time. Enjoy
Are,
those trips.
are campers going to be wearing masks
Inside. yeah.
inside?
And, I was just gonna add that we are still really under the schools, rules for mask wearing, and they have to change it.
Mhm.
So we will abide by their rules, I suppose, at the time, until school's out. That, when we do run programs inside, we will, like pickleball, for example, which we have already started doing. That's where you wear your mask unless you're actually playing, and even then, some people choose to wear the mask. But, as you noted, people are going to make it for themselves, or they're even comfortable coming to pickleball. So, right now, we're sort of speaking for school right now.
Do you know if they're going to relook at it? I'm sorry, I missed the
At
last
the last
meeting.
school board meeting, they did, I guess they chose to continue doing what they're doing despite the relaxing guidelines.
Okay.
Because that's working for them. And
Okay.
They don't see why they would change it right now when everyone's accustomed to it and the kids are wearing their masks successfully. And so I think they'll probably look at it again in the fall, I guess.
What about, but I guess after the school year, the 11th, they're not looking at it.
Well, they,
Changes inside the building, what you're saying,
Yeah.
until
I guess
next school year.
Yeah, I would think so, yeah, in terms of their enrichment. I mean, I feel like we can
Mhm.
we
Or
can
after school,
go to our,
summer
whatever
school.
we decide our rules are for, which, that will kind of default to our decision making on the rec side for the summer. They'll probably continue, I'm guessing, their same situation for their enrichment program in their summer school. But then in the fall, I'm sure they'll have to revisit this and decide if they're going to continue that or they're going to change it.
No, it's by the fall.
Yeah, but we're kind of, our hands are tied a little, because, so our only area for after school program is the lobby, and those doors are locked anymore, so it's just the whole building has to stay secure, and that's why our front doors are still locked. I just don't know, we have to keep an eye on that, keep that, remembering that. See what we do that.
Well, I hope that the expectation is not going to be that door is going to be locked post-COVID.
Well, they have a growth space issue now too, despite COVID, they're still gonna have the same space issue. They're utilizing the whole purpose room for a classroom now,
Yeah, but those doors are locked.
but they're not locked now because they're coming and going. It's a school now being used to its full capacity, so they're coming and going to the bathrooms, the gym, it's just a very different environment because they've grown. So even with COVID aside, we're still going to be facing a space issue. Based on what I've heard, there's going to be at least 50 or more kids returning to school in the fall. So it's just something for us to, consider going forward. I don't think we need to do anything today, but I think we just need to remember that.
Well, yeah, but it's something we're gonna need to talk about because it affects your fall programs and it affects all of your adult programming. going forward.
Indoor adult, yeah.
Yeah, indoor adult program. We could be what you're describing is no adult indoor program, period. Because they would have to maintain those doors locked
Right,
because it's a school area.
yeah, and they're much, they're in, they're in the gym all the time.
Right.
They're a bigger school, they're using the space as they should. It's just as a complete change from what we've been experiencing. For years.
Sounds like we should
But
just have
that's-
discussions once the school year ends.
Well, yeah, we're gonna need
Like
we
for
need to
planning
get some
purposes, going,
feedback from the school board,
Going
from
forward.
Gail, as far as what, if they start planning in September.
Yeah.
Because that's not very far away.
Well, I think Gail always wants to help and see how she can work with us, but I do think that this is an issue of space separate of anyone's good intentions. We are, maybe at a crossroads of do we need more space? for the
Right.
rec department to serve the community?
can it still exist there when we have
Right.
over 50 students in the school? That's a different,
That's
you're saying. A big issue.
Right, that's the bigger issue.
Yeah.
Because there's a certain expectation that
Yeah.
having the rec, you're right, from the taxpayers, and we're gonna need to
And we
explain.
can go for that cyclically, and we've been,
And right now, COVID has been our excuse why it was not possible, but post-COVID, if the expectation is that all that area is off limits because children are using it for school, rightly so, like you said, that's still a totally different rec department than we have ever had.
Right. And it's gonna increase our other programming, but still, I guess also we need to see, is it truly going to continue at this 50-60,
Right.
rate? Or is it going to, after a year or two, is it gonna kind of settle in at 30? I think there's some shakeout still to happen there, but doesn't mean that we shouldn't start planning.
but I think you should have an eventuality plan that we can describe to townspeople, so they won't be hit with something, from out of left field.
Yeah.
I think, you should probably start discussing it before the school season is out.
Yeah, because you should get input from the PTA and the teachers and the
While
school
everyone is
board
here and available.
while everybody's here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a that's a good deal.
Back to the only other item in new business, Mark, golf club discussion items for May 26th. I saw you out on the golf course with Jim and Craig
Yes.
the other day.
Yes, and that's part of it. It was this email, and I don't bring this up to get answers from you. I just want to let you know and give you a couple of weeks to think about some of the questions that Craig has asked. Plus, Craig asked me to talk with you about 4th of July fireworks. I'm glad you're all here. 4th of July fireworks.
Is it third of July?
Well, yes, he's doing a 3rd of July fireworks is what he is going to request, which is the same program that he put on this past year with an RSVP and having it members only on the golf course, but obviously visible to everyone. And right now we have the deposit in, and the plan has been to do the 4th of July with our normal parade and field day. And would you do the field day on Sunday as well? Brooke? The 4th?
No, we're doing it
You're doing it
on the third. We're doing it
on
Saturday.
Saturday, okay. So but when's the parade? 3rd? Yes, okay.
So 4th of July parade from the third.
No, sorry. The parade is always on the fourth.
Okay,
Yes, sorry.
4th of July.
The parade is always on the fourth.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. So we have the field day and potentially we have the field day and Craig's fireworks on Saturday. And then the plan would be to have the parade and the town fireworks on Sunday.
Fireworks.
So we'd have 2 sets of fireworks. Now, Craig said he'll he'll work with Atlas and he'll give the town of Waterville Valley we currently have a $2,000 deposit with Atlas for our show. And he said he will use basically our show on Saturday and replace it with his and give the town back the $2,000 deposit. And we won't have to pay the other $7,600 that we have in the budget.
Or you just essentially
So
want to
he
take
would
over the
essentially
fireworks
take it
display.
over
And
and
the only
do it on
fireworks in
Saturday,
town would be private fireworks.
on the 3rd. Yeah. Okay, or, I mean, I don't know, it impacts you a lot too, Dave, because with staffing, I don't know what your feelings are. So I was basically just starting this discussion. Okay, I don't have to answer it all right now, but
Going away from our tradition of.
it would go away from our tradition. And so maybe we could even plan the parade for Saturday.
I like the idea of having everything on one day, where people can come do the parade and come have a field day, let them out, everyone else bring vendors in to sell hot dogs and hamburgers. The only problem I see is if we have a real sunny day or a real rainy day, where do people get out of the sun? That's why,
Also, people do like to spread us, all our activities out, the business and WDRA and all the venues like to spread the activities over the course of the whole weekend. So for example, we're having a movie night on Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, just to keep the guests happy
Right,
for.
with something to do.
Something to do. So that's, because when occasionally it happens, Mike, where we do have everything on one
Yeah.
day. It's kind of crazy for us, but it's fun. I mean, you have the.
Yeah.
You have the parade, you have the carnival, then you have the fireworks, all in one day.
I presume the actual federal holiday is the 5th,
Yes,
Yeah.
it's Monday.
Monday,
so people would be staying Sunday night.
so they would be
it
staying
wouldn't be
Sunday.
like a regular.
So you have Saturday and Sunday potentially.
I mean, then that's not bad either. I mean,
No, it's not bad
to
to have
have
two.
something every
Yeah.
day. and
Yeah.
it's-
And the
It's
other
not
thing,
bad to have two sets of fireworks either.
well, the other thing we need to look at, Jeff and I did some research today. In the last year and a half, 2 years, we've turned over 30% of the properties in the valley. So there are new people
Like
coming
a
here,
third.
new people that will be here. And then on the other side of the equation, we have less hotel rooms than we've ever had.
Right,
So the idea about going to WVRA and to have people come here for the experience is a lot of people might want to come here for the experience. But if there's a hockey tournament and weddings that weekend, there are going to be no rooms. So the transient guest is going to be left out. So anything we're going to do is going to be more community based and for our community. So we keep that.
Do we need to have sort of a July 4th weekend task force, bring together all the stakeholders,
Oh,
plan out
I
activities?
think you're overcomplicating.
Yeah, I think that already happens among the venues. I mean,
Do
it's
they?
not balanced
Do
actually
we-
for.
Do we know
us,
what
right?
weddings may be coming down that weekend?
I'm sure they have that.
Oh, yeah,
stuff.
they
They got
have
weddings, they will know about hockey, will know all that stuff.
Okay.
But keeping in mind our responsibility to our taxpayers and community members, but then also being a big part of the
The
venue
last
for the
one.
guests. And that's hard to balance.
Right, but what I'm saying is there are less and less guest venues. So what we're appealing to more are property owners and new people to the community that want to be part of the community. So it's not like we have to create a big event to sell rooms.
Yeah, right. Yeah, good point.
So when would you like to discuss this? and have
Well,
some idea of what we're
I
thinking?
think it should be part of the discussion on the 26th at the latest, because we're getting towards the end of May.
And this basically relates to
The other stuff,
the
Yeah.
select board and the fireworks display.
Yes.
He's asking. what kind of idea. All the other stuff is just informational.
well, there's parking. He wants to
Oh,
extend
okay.
his
I had a
parking
chance.
area,
Haven't had a chance.
is on-street parking.
Where does it say it's,
I missed that. Is it on the other side perhaps?
No,
I see the tree stumps. in the-
yeah, we've taken care of the tree
Plus
stumps.
brand new temporary park on Valley Road.
Yes,
Where is that?
It's second.
But is that the existing new parking?
The existing new on-street parking
Right.
that you did temporarily,
Right.
he wants to extend.
Okay,
And
it doesn't say that in this letter.
I don't have it in this.
I think he's saying plus renew.
yeah,
temporary
yeah,
plus
park.
renew, that's, yes.
Right
here.
It's not added.
Next, should I go in front of select board for both fireworks?
Oh, gotcha.
and
It's on the
licensing?
same
It says
thing.
plus
Right,
renew.
because our temporary parking,
Yes.
it was scheduled to run out in May
Yes, it runs out,
This-
actually, I
like
think
this
it runs out this month.
this month,
And as far as the temporary allowance of it,
right?
he wants to extend it another year.
Yeah.
And he wants to extend it physically by adding another 50 to 100.
Okay, we haven't, I don't see the extended.
Well, he mentioned that to me he mentioned
So
that
it's-
to me on site when Margaret
Yeah,
and you
okay,
saw
So
us.
it's
What
extension.
about the parking lot across the street? What is he done with that? The one over near his maintenance barn? Isn't that supposed to be a parking lot?
It was supposed to be, but it is,
It's used as
well,
maintenance.
it's used as his maintenance.
He did clean it up over the winter to use parking for the tubing, but he's brought in now
Material.
materials.
Yeah, the fire thing is gone.
Yeah, he got rid of that prior to this, to the tubing, but I think now he's got all sorts of material for the golf.
So,
golf
yeah, so
operation.
there are two issues with the parking. So it's extended another year.
Put it on the agenda for the next.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Curious George Cottage maintenance.
Yep, so abode is in there, in the cottage now.
Was this
So
what
there's,
we did?
yes, Leah did, I did not.
Oh, wait a minute, it has nothing to do with us. She can do whatever she wants. With the expenditure.
That's correct,
It's not a town expense.
that's
It's
correct,
their expense that we're supervising. So if she does.
I see.
that's right. And, well, that's the way I approached it, Mike.
I agree with you on that.
There are two facets to this. There are improvements that need to be done, like the doors, the new doors and stuff that we should have done anyway, because they were basically falling apart and we needed new doors. There were other things that were more related to the preschool process, which is the construction of the half wall in the kitchen area, the closet around the existing water heater, which the preschool brought to light, but they are improvements that I think if we're gonna have children in there for any program, whether it's summer camp or reading time or whatever, there are safety issues that we should be doing just in general in the cottage. So I see those as town improvements to the building itself. The only thing that I think that is specific to the preschool is the new entrance that will go, if you're looking at the cottage from Noon Peak Road, to the right of the main entrance, there's a little set of windows there. There would be a door.
It's not in the kitchen.
No, it goes into the, back closet
Okay.
space, okay? But there will be a door basically cut in the wall there so that the office would be, you'd be able to enter the office without going through the main area. That's specific to the preschool. All of the rest of the stuff that we're talking about in this list is all, I think, town maintenance of the building.
What makes that specific to this preschool?
Well, because they require it, they require access to other areas that are not being used for the preschool from a second entrance. So that's why I put it in the classification of that specific. If she wasn't doing a preschool, I could see her doing all of the other improvements.
Right.
But because the preschool is going in there, that door, I think the price of that door should be borne by the Ray Center. The rest of it, which is the majority of the $11,000, it's probably 8 or 9,000 of the 11,000 is, I think, building upgrades, maintenance, including. And I am trying to get from Abode a breakout of that door. But if you're okay with approaching it that way, I'll get you a number for that door. And if you're willing to do these other things, I'd like her to continue to go ahead. Does anybody see anything here that they question?
This is covered by the capital reserve fund.
Yes. Yes. And there's 20,000. Right, so.
That includes the money too.
Yes.
It is.
All right, so I'll email you the price of the door. And I also provided you, the second page of that is just to show you in case anyone asks you, the Curious Cottage budget, both revenue and expenses.
Basically breaking even.
It basically breaks even.
At least year one.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, thank you, Dave.
Make a little out of it after year one. And they may be able to get some things from the CARES Act. or-
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remind me again, when did they try and start? September.
They'll have a summer camp program, which they're coordinating with Brooke. And, right, I mean, as far as they have the younger kids.
It'll be like
Five
five
of them
programs
around.
in the valley.
Huh?
5 summer programs in the valley. The mountain has theirs.
I don't
We have
know.
ours. The school has running 2 different things, right?
Yeah.
After school and in Richmond.
Summer school.
Even
Summer
BBTS.
school, sorry, after school / Richmond summer school.
BBTS has a
BBTS.
summer.
Right. So there's 6.
And you know, I know that Lena is full, I'm full, I'm sure, I don't know, I'm not sure.
That's good.
Maybe they're not, yeah, I mean, there's certainly plenty of people.
Oh, and actually Shakespeare runs their program after yours.
Right,
And
coming back?
so, yeah, they're coming back.
and us actually not running late into August is never more of an opportunity.
I like to have opera. Can't we do that? Any opera connection?
None.
None.
All right, good. So,
I can't think of a great book.
Okay, capital projects update and grant application.
so that's basically what we talked with Joe.
Mhm.
And then town hall staffing, I just wanted to verify that we're okay with moving ahead with the 30-hour position. We are gonna re-advertise it, so I think it's a month or so down the road.
And who is our new person?
Alicia Harrington.
Um,
Alicia,
Alicia?
Yeah.
And is she full-time?
no, 30.
She's 30, so this is the
This is the
230.
second
Mhm.
30.
Mhm.
And Sharon and I have been looking at the floor space and trying to figure out exactly how to maneuver stuff around. So.
cell's not used. Right?
Well, it was it was a few weeks here. We could put a desk right here and have an office. in here. No, but seriously,
Upstairs.
I think we're gonna move some of the storage against those walls, that wall, and on the other side, and we're probably gonna open up more of the front office and try to squeeze stuff in.
Took down the wall.
Yeah.
A couple years ago.
Yeah, between the two.
4 or 5 years ago.
That one?
New legislation status.
Yeah, I did not get I don't think the Senate has voted on that. remote meeting legislation.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the primary bill we're tracking. There is a bill, they still are trying to resurrect
Swept, I saw that.
the swept money.
Mhm.
They are trying to resurrect the
Community.
immunity
They've
bill
got Ben and Jerry against us.
that Ben and Jerry is now against us.
And I've been trying to track Alex right now, and talk to him about it. Well, I can understand part of the logic behind that, but I don't think he understands the qualification.
Well, I don't think he understands the fact. I think a lot of people are being sold perhaps the idea by couching it in terms of police.
Exactly.
And,
Where
and
it's
the
limit
language-
The ability and
That's
desire
right.
for people to serve on volunteer.
that's right. Yeah. So
And that's in the House, right? That's
that's in the
that's
house.
in the House.
Yeah.
I mean, no idea where
No,
our rep
they've been.
or either our representative have voted on it.
So, sorry, I don't have more.
Board concerns and directives?
Yes, there's a tree in the stone tower.
Well, I had another tree thing
Okay.
to just mention to you. You know that below Pump House One, that area, there's a lot of people and dogs who go down that little bank, you know, to kind of wade in the river and that kind of thing. Right now, there is a white birch thin
Mhm.
that it's too heavy for me to move.
Okay.
I've moved it so far, I can't move it any further. So maybe just sometime when they're over there, they can either push it out into the stream
Okay.
or.
I've seen people park down there. So
Yeah,
they drive the car and park in that area.
yeah.
Down
Bob
there.
Freeze parks down there all the time. Yeah. So that's all.
When are we gonna get rid of the that big hump of land that? So, yeah.
It's one of the things.
Okay.
I've been talking about.
moving on.
Moving on. I guess we will go into non-public. now.
Can you got 1 minute? I just need to start non-public with Brooke here. I just want one thing to discuss all of us. Good. Just to make sure.
So going into non-public at 4:30.